So, if you saw my last video, you know that I have made a corset now for my 1860s ball gown. I'm actually wearing it under this right now. So the next step then is to make a corset cover. The corset cover basically sits between the corset and the ball gown and protects them from each other so they're not rubbing up against each other. So a lot of times, from what I can see of like examples of people who have made corset covers, and like extant examples as well, they looked a bit like tank tops with like buttons down the front so you could get it on easily over your corset. They're quite well fitted to the corset, and they're fairly simple garments, I think. Or at least they look like it. They don't look terribly complicated. So to that end, I have thrifted something. Who is surprised? It's not a bed sheet though, it is actually a shirt. It's a button-up shirt. And I think this will do very well for a corset cover. So I think this is viscose. Yeah, so it's 100% viscose. So it's not technically a historically accurate fabric. I don't think they started using viscose like properly as a fabric until like the late 1800s, early 1900s, I think. So not a historically accurate fabric, but it is a natural fiber, and that's important to me because I don't want to be wearing polyester just because, I mean, my satin is probably polyester, but I like to limit the amount of polyester that I'm wearing. And anyway, I thrifted this, so it's fine. And hopefully I will be able to turn this button up into a corset cover. So I'm hoping this won't take too long. Basically, all I need to do is try this on over the corset, pin it where it needs to be taken in, because it's quite big. I did get something that's a little bit bigger than my usual size, just because I figured I would want a bit more fabric to work with. It's also very wrinkly, I swear. I ironed it. I did. Did I? I didn't. I didn't iron it. It's fine. It doesn't matter. For the corset cover, I don't care enough. And this was, I think, £5. Other than this, all I really need is thread and pins. Pretty cheap for a corset cover, I think. We'll see how this goes, because I've not seen other people do this with a button-up shirt. They might have done, I just haven't seen it. So we're kind of going in blind here. All that said, let's get to sewing. First thing I need to do is get down to my corset. This is weird because technically I'm stripping down to my undergarments. Victorian undergarments, but still it's a bit weird. Here we are, the corset. So I think I'm just gonna put this on inside out and we will see. It is kind of a heavy material as well, the viscose. I noticed this as well. People had pointed out when I did my cottagecore puff-sleeved dress that was also rayon / viscose, I think. And I also find that dress quite heavy to wear, funnily enough. I don't know what it is about viscose, somebody explained that to me. Let's just start pinning this. Again, one of those times where I really, really wish I had a dress form, but I don't. We just struggle. So it doesn't need to be super, super well-fitting, I don't think. Just well-fitting enough that it's not like a load of extra bulk, you know? I want to do fairly small straps because my gown is going to be off the shoulder, and so I want them to be able to like slip down like this. I'll just mark along the top of the corset here, and then I might also mark along the top of the back. So it's like, actually, I might just cut it at that seam. I guess that would be like a yoke. So what I think I might do, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to pin it where it needs to be pinned. I'll even like fold in things just to see if I can kind of get a better idea of what the shape is going to be before I actually cut into it. So let's do that. Okay, so I can't get it on over my head because I've pinned past the sleeves, which was really smart of me. But also the sleeves are kind of built into the body of the thing, so I don't know that there was a better way. I've also switched to safety pins because I've come to my senses a bit. So I think this might be enough to just start chopping, which is scary, but I will chop conservatively, hopefully. So yeah, I think we're just gonna start cutting this thing up. I might just cut it straight across and then add straps on from the scraps because that seems to make the most sense to me. So actually what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave quite a bit of seam allowance right now. I'm just gonna go below this buttonhole. Oh god, it's shedding. Why are you shedding? Don't shed. Okay, so I've got it on right side out. I've just tucked it into the top of the corset. It is too long, but that's good because I would rather have too much at this point than too little. And it's also way too big. So I definitely need to take more in at the sides. But overall, this is looking pretty good so far. I'm kind of impressed that this hasn't completely blown up in my face yet. But you can kind of get the effect. I've never done a garment like this. And I've never done it like by basically thrift flipping something. So this is all a bit new for me. What I might do is measure bust, waist, and hips. Try and like pull in the seam kind of at a curve like this. So what I did basically is I measured around the front of my bust, took half that measurement, and then just kind of measured out on the front panel, I guess. And then I did the same with my waist, divided that by 4, measured out from all sides, and then same with the hips. I think I overcompensated slightly. It's just a little bit tight now. I don't know. This is all a lot of trial and error. I'm sorry, it's kind of all over the place. Do you know what I could be doing though? I could just use the corset pattern. I could have avoided so much of this. I could just literally use the corset pattern. Wow, this is so stupid. Wow. Hold on. I am a dingus. If I cut these out with a bit of extra seam allowance, just might work. Okay, so I've done some math. So the corset pattern comes with 6 pieces. I don't have enough room to do 6. So I've done the math. This is 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then if I cut an extra 1/2 inch and I sew at the 1/2 inch, that's an extra 2.5 inches on these pieces, which should be just about right. But I'm thinking if I just cut this out, and I'll cut a bit extra on the top and the bottom as well. I like where these buttons are, so I'm gonna just go off of where the buttons are. So a bit extra on the top and the bottom, and a 1/2 inch extra seam allowance between them. Same on the back, I think, because again, it's adding 2.5 inches all around. And so the reason that I figured that out is that the middle of this is 2.5 inches. It's the waist that I'm most worried about because that's gonna be the tightest part, right? And so if I have a little bit extra room there, that would be good. And then also an extra 2 inches on the back because of the lacing panel. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I might just do it and just cut it out because otherwise I'm gonna stand here staring at my fabric forever. You know what? I didn't leave room for seam allowance on that bit. Okay, yes, 1.5 inches on the top and the bottom. Silly me. Why don't I ever remember to account for seam allowance? Please disregard my hair. We're having a bit of a bad hair day, but this is a sewing channel, not a hair channel, so it doesn't matter. It kind of matters. Hold on. Oh god, there's too much of it. It's, Ignore my hair. I sewed all the seams of the corset cover together. I realized I measured it across the waist, and there's still way too much. It's still too big. I've safety pinned 2 inches off the back. But let's put this on and see if that's close. Yeah, so we're getting there. I don't think I want to take more out because then this is just going to gape a lot. So I think this is actually just about perfect. So I'm going to sew up that seam in the back, and then I will just finish all of those seams, finish the top and the bottom, and then we will do the straps. I'm going to do all of that by hand, I think, just turning and felling. So let's do that. Sorry about my hair. Okay, I couldn't be bothered to put the whole corset on and everything. I found a couple of scraps that I had that were about 2 inches wide and I think about 1 foot long, so I've just safety pinned them in here. They're a bit too long, I think. Because I want it off the shoulder, I don't want them to go down this far, so they need to be like here, maybe. Yeah, it's closer to 4 inches. Then it fits well on my shoulders, and off my shoulders it wouldn't go too far. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna lop like 3 inches off either end, and then I'll have a bit of leftover for seam allowance. Okay, it is finished. It is wrinkly because it's been sitting in my wardrobe for like 2 weeks because I procrastinated on finishing this video, which is very silly because this has been done and all I have to do is the reveal and the wrap up. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I will put it on and show you. Okay, and there we go. You can't see it because everything is black and the lighting in my flat is terrible. Hold on. Okay, I don't know if this is any better, but there it is. I think it turned out great. It is the right size. It fits pretty well all around. And the straps can kind of come off like this. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, the straps are like still a little bit loose, like they come down a bit far and then that happens, which is not supposed to happen. But I think once the bodice is on and all of this is kind of held in place, that should be fine. Otherwise, I can always just pull these in a little bit more. But I wanted the option of also having it on my shoulders just in case. And obviously I'm still wearing a tank top under this. Next time we will be doing the chemise, probably. I'm doing this all out of order. Like, I think you're supposed to start from the innermost layer and work your way out, but I'm chaotic, you know this about me. Anyway, there it is, and I think it's great. Is that uneven? Oh my god, the top is uneven. Can you see that? No! You know what? I don't care. I don't care enough to fix it, and also, yeah, I don't care enough. It's fine. Once again, I feel the need to apologize for the terrible lighting in my flat. It is what it is. Yeah, I don't have much to say about this because frankly it was a pretty simple project once I got everything together and I realized that I could just use the corset pattern. That made things so much easier than like trying to draft it on myself. I think if I'd had a dress form I maybe might have been able to just drape it, but as it was, using the corset pattern turned out fine. I don't think I have much else to say about it really because it was cheap and it was easy and it keeps flopping. It's fine. It does the job. It will do what it's supposed to. I'm debating whether taking in some of the seams would help it, like, not droop. But also, I think it's fine. And maybe I just need to take in the straps a little bit more, which I don't really mind doing. Like, that would be fine. But yeah, it's an undergarment. It doesn't really matter. It was relatively easy. It didn't take very long. Would recommend making a corset cover if you're planning on making an elaborate ball gown like I am for no good reason. It's March now. That's terrifying because I had planned to do this by the end of May. It might happen. So as of now, I still need to do the chemise, I need to do a petticoat, and then I need to do the overskirt and the bodice. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but the overskirt and the bodice, I imagine, are going to take some time because they are more complicated garments. And all of that without even knowing if I have enough fabric for all that. So we'll see. So next time we will be doing the innermost layer that I was supposed to start with and procrastinated on. So we'll do the chemise next time. And then all of the under layers will pretty much be done up to the crinoline. And then I can show you everything up to the crinoline, which will be very exciting because as of now I can't show you much because really all I've done is the corset and the corset cover, which is not super exciting. Thank you for coming along with me on this corset cover making adventure. I hope it was fun for you. It was fun for me. And I will see you next time. Bye!